Hello everybody and welcome to the monthly stats video for October. It's taken a bit longer than normal again this month because I had my meter changed over in October, and so it's taken a little while for Octopus to send me the bill with both the old meter and the new meter readings on it and stuff, so I can work it all out. But hopefully moving forward they should get all the readings promptly now from the new smart meter, and I should get my bill a bit more on time, and then I can put the videos out a bit more promptly closer to the end of the month. So yeah, that will all hopefully happen from November onwards. But in the meantime, let's have a look at the stats for October. So in October we generated a total of 547 kilowatt hours, which is about 230 kilowatt hours less than in September. We imported 764 kilowatt hours and we exported 46 kilowatt hours. The import has gone up a lot, and that's because we've been doing quite a lot of driving just recently in the Tesla, and so we've had to be doing a lot of nighttime charging. And obviously we're not getting that much solar in the daytime now. So in total we've used 1,274 kilowatt hours in October. Now if we didn't have solar or a battery, that would have cost us £487.34. That would be on a standard electricity tariff. Having the solar has saved us about £202. Having a battery and being on the Intelligent Octopus Go tariff has saved us about another £211. The battery has helped us have quite a large saving in October because obviously I can store my solar in it, but I did actually have to charge the house batteries a couple of times in October using the cheap night rate and then run the house off it during the day. So that's really contributed to that figure this month. The FIT export earned us £83.83. So the total cost to us for 1,274 kilowatt hours of electricity in October was £83.23, and £14.87 of that is the standing charge, which means that the average price per kilowatt hour we paid in October was just 5.4p. Now that's pretty good going. Obviously it's much higher than previous months, but when you saw how much energy we imported this month, like I was saying, to charge the Tesla quite a lot, to pay an average price of just 5.4p per kilowatt hour is still really, really good. So I'm very pleased with that. So our electricity bill was £83.23. The FIT feed-in payment was £83.83, which means our energy cost for the month was, again, nothing. And in fact, we made a measly 60p. I think when we go into next month, we'll probably start to see that the amount of money we generate from our FIT payment is not enough to cover our electricity and gas usage, and so I'm going to start actually having to pay a small amount from next month. Okay, so let's now look at the pie charts. Here is the pie chart that shows of all the power we generated, how much we managed to keep and how much we had to export, and you can see that we used about 91.7%, 501 kilowatt hours, and so we had to export 8.3%. Now that's higher than I would like. I like to be around 5%, So a bit of work to do there, I think. And if we compare that to the month before, we can see that, yeah, it's not as good. We exported a smaller proportion the month before. So yeah, there's some, I need to have a look and try and understand why that's exported. Probably some more tweaking needed on my software. Now let's look at the pie chart that shows where the power came from that we generated. It's fairly similar to the month before. The GrowWatt 2 kilowatt, that's the yellow segment there. That's the wall mounted panels, and they're generating a much bigger proportion now. So that's about 24%. And then the 1 kilowatt array on the roof, that's about 13%. The 5 kilowatt array on the roof, that's about 56%, and my shed solar panels is nearly 6%, which is not bad, considering most of the time the panels are shaded by the trees. Now the sun's so low, they only get it for a little while, and then the sun goes behind the trees that are on the hill, and so it basically just goes to zero. If we compare that to the month before, you can see that it's broadly similar. The shed percentage is smaller now, and like I say, that's because of the trees on the hill. Okay, now let's have a look at the energy mix. I've been working on this pie chart because I had a few bugs in it, but I think I've got them all ironed out now. So we can see here that we've got about 715 kilowatt hours that we took from the grid was during the cheap rate. That's available on the Intelligent Octopus Go from 11:30 till 5:30 in the morning. And then we obviously generated 500 kilowatt hours, so that's free. And then we've got a small amount, 47 kilowatt hours, which came from the grid during the expensive time. And that was because, again, we were using the Tesla a lot, and we actually had to do an emergency charge in the middle of the day. And so we had to pull some premium rate electricity, which is why there's a big wedge there for that this month. And then we've got some cheap peak 21 kilowatt hours we managed to pull off during peak times, but we got it at the cheap rate because Octopus decided to start a charge during the peak time for the car, and so while that was on, turn some other things on as well to take advantage of that lower price. If we compare that to the month before, you can see that there's quite a big difference in the amount of energy that we've pulled in from the grid. You see that blue segment in September is less than a quarter, whereas now it's well over a half. So yeah, we've definitely been pulling a lot of power in October from the grid, but at least it's almost all from the cheap rate. I thought this month I'd bring back in the pie chart that shows where all the power went for the month, just because, as I say, we've been charging the Tesla a lot. So you can see here that the Tesla is the bulk of the power usage in October. In fact, it is nearly 43% of all of our electricity went into the Tesla. And if you look at the Tesla and the Leaf together, it makes up more than half of the total electricity usage. So that's 550 kilowatt hours going into the vehicle. So it means if you took that off, our household usage would only be about would only be about 500, 600 kilowatt hours, and another 135 of that is heating hot water because we don't use the gas for that. So yeah, although our usage may seem very high, you know, we don't pay petrol or anything, so you've got to fathom that a lot of that electricity wouldn't be there if we had a petrol vehicle. But it's a hell of a lot cheaper to pay for that electricity than it would be to pay for petrol. So our best day was on the 15th of October, and on that day we generated 36 kilowatt hours. Here's the graph for that day. It's a pretty clear day, but you can see there's a big dip in the afternoon in the nice normal bell curve that we get. There's a big dip from around 1 o'clock or so, and I think that's because of the sun now dropping behind some of the trees, so it's starting to catch the trees a little bit, and that creates a bit of shading for a little while, and then they eventually clear the panels, and then we get clear sun on them again for a little while. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one, that one. Our worst day was on the 18th of October, and on that day we generated just 4.2 kilowatt hours. And here's the graph for that day, and you can see that yeah, it's pretty low. Doesn't really get much above a kilowatt at any point during the day. Now let's have a look at our grid imports broken down by half-hourly segments for each day of the month. And you can see that yeah, we're pulling cheap rate almost all the time. There was a couple of days here and there where we didn't have to pull anything from the grid. There's a couple of days also where we had to pull some peak rate, which is why that segment on the pie chart is a bit bigger this month. But for the most part, it's all pretty much off peak. Yeah, there's the day with the peak usage. But we're definitely pulling a lot more power now. Okay, so the total number of off-grid days in October was 5, and the most consecutive off-grid days we had in October was 2. So for the year to date, that means that we've had a total of 126 off-grid days, and the highest consecutive number of off-grid days is still 25, which happened at some point in the summer. We're not going to be breaking that record now, so I suspect that will be the highest off-grid streak for the year, but I'll look at that when I do the yearly video. But 126 off-grid days so far is pretty good. That's almost what, a third of the year off the grid, so that's pretty good. Right, that's it for the stats for October. Definitely pulling a lot more power from Intelligent Octopus Go now. I'm glad I've moved on to Intelligent Octopus Go. Having 6 hours to use the cheap rate instead of just the 4 that I had on the old Octopus Go is definitely better. It lets me space things out a bit more and not absolutely hammer my connection for 4 hours. So it's definitely a plus point. And I haven't really had too many problems with Octopus charging my car. There's been a couple of occasions where it hasn't reached the charge level that I set. 1 or 2 of those have been due to errors in my software, but there's been a couple of them which definitely were nothing to do in my software. They just stopped the charge for whatever reason, and then it didn't restart. And so it didn't quite reach the charge level that I asked for, but it doesn't really matter because there was enough for what I needed. So so far I'm still perfectly happy with it, but I suspect they're still ironing out a few kinks. I did send them some feedback on one of the things that I've noticed. if you've got your car plugged in and you've got the Intelligent Octopus Go currently disabled, as soon as you enable it in the app, it doesn't detect that your car's already plugged in and then generate a charging plan. You have to kind of update something on the app first, like say you set your charge limit down a little bit, or your start or end time, or whatever, make a slight change to that, and then suddenly it'll generate a charge plan for you. But I sent them some message saying, you know, as soon as you enable it, if you detect that my car's plugged in, you should just generate the charge plan. I shouldn't have to tweak something in order for it to happen. So at the moment, it doesn't seem to have been fixed yet, but hopefully that's something that they'll look into. But anyway, yes, that's it for the month. Please do like, comment, share, subscribe. I've got another video coming up soon of some stuff that I've been doing to get the house ready for winter, really. But hopefully that will be coming up shortly. But until then, see you all on the next video. Cheers.